This is Our News, the weekend edition, and on the broadcast tonight. The head of the largest umbrella union in the country joins the list of those in opposition to the government's VAT increase. Plus, police investigate another traffic fatality here on the streets of the capital. And oversubscribed, the Progressive Liberal Party seeking to ready potential candidates ahead of the 2022 general election.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Good evening, I'm Andrew Knowles, and thanks so much for joining us. Topping the news, the president of the National Congress of Trade Unions tonight blasting Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis and his cabinet over its decision to increase the percentage of value-added tax to 12%. Bernard Evans, in an interview with Our News, also questioning the Prime Minister's use of the whip in the recent firings of 3 F&M MPs. Our Kyle Joaquin tells us more.
Proper dialogue. We don't see that there was a rush to get it done. Maybe there was, but certainly if in fact they could have delayed it for another month or two, just have proper dialogue. You never know. Maybe some other ideas could have emerged.
The NCTUB president is now questioning just how much consultation government did before coming to the conclusion of raising the VAT rate to 12%. In just 7 days, that increase will take effect, and to the dismay of many, especially business owners, according to Evans.
We see now that this may be a strain on businesses, coupled with the fact that most of our contracts are now reaching the stage of expiration. So we go back to the table. Now having to ask for an increase to offset the VAT increase is going to be difficult for the employer to want to do.
Just last week, 3 F&M MPs were fired from their government-appointed posts after they voted against the proposed VAT increase in the House of Assembly. The Prime Minister and several cabinet ministers have since defended that move, crediting the Westminster system and the whip.
I want to say and go on record that we vehemently oppose the so-called nature of the whip. We oppose that. It was the whip that caused BTC to be sold today. There were so many ministers in the government back then, almost 6 years ago, that wanted to vote against the sale of BTC, thought it was wrong, but because of this nature of this creature of the Westminster system, it caused the representatives of the people to go against the wishes of the people.
When BTC was sold under the last Ingram administration, Evans and other union leaders took the then government to task. Years later, he said this whip, as it's called, is working against the progress of the country.
And so we want to go on record that while all of these amendments to the Constitution, there has to be an immediate amendment to the so-called whip that causes one to be penalized if they vote in favor of what the people want them to vote. Since then, BTC has been a shell of itself. It has been now sold 3 times in the last 5.5 years. It has seen no fewer than 7 different CEOs or chairmen. And so we don't know if we're going or coming when it comes as it relates to BTC.
To be frank, Evans said he was left disappointed in the Prime Minister.
I can only be disappointed in the sense that that is the system that allowed him to act within the system. Then he has taken advantage of the system. But again, we as intelligent people in an emerging country trying to do his best and to improve on our democracy, then obviously this is a flaw.
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
All right, thanks a lot, Kyle. A male pedestrian is the country's latest traffic fatality after he was struck while walking on Foster Street yesterday evening. Police were alerted to the accident shortly after 6 p.m.
Our initial report, we have revealed that the male pedestrian was on the eastern side of Foster Street walking in a northern direction when a red car would have traveling south, read up to the eastern side of the thoroughfare and made impact with the adult male. The male received significant severe head trauma to his head and to his upper torso.
Now, paramedics were called to the scene and transported the male to hospital, where he was immediately taken into the trauma room. However, Chief Superintendent Stubbs says the victim succumbed to his injuries 10 minutes later. Now, we're told that the driver of the vehicle did remain on the scene and is assisting police with their investigation. Meanwhile, a woman caught a man trying to break into her home on Camp Road. The brazen-armed robber reportedly forced his way into the woman's home shortly before 11 a.m. yesterday. The woman had a struggle with the robber before he managed to escape, but police responded just in time and on the scene and engaged the armed suspect and shot him to the right foot. The suspect was taken to hospital where he was treated and discharged. Police say a black-handled knife was recovered from the scene. Well, on to other news this evening. Gone are the days when the Progressive Liberal Party plucks candidates from beauty contests. That's according to PLP Chairman Fred Mitchell, who says the party will be more selective in how it chooses its candidates. Mitchell says to ensure that happens, the party has instituted modules for aspiring candidates, and the program is now oversubscribed. Our Jasmine Brown explains.
But we're trying to get people, acclimatized to the new dispensation, more discipline, and that everybody's singing from the same hymn sheet insofar as we can after the really disastrous experience with a couple of individuals last time who simply savaged the party.
According to Mitchell, party leaders and executives are determined to ensure that never happens again. Mitchell pointed to the party's last term in office and the MPs who decided they would no longer be a part of the Christie administration.
The obvious examples would be Wells, Rollins, Moss. I mean, they got up and just savaged the organization. We thought they were on the same hymn sheet with us, but they weren't. They say there were philosophical differences, all sorts of things, but the bottom line was there was a major attack on the organization from inside. What the party's response has been, that looking back, is that that it is not productive to pluck people from beauty contests. You know, you go to a beauty contest, this guy looks good, so you pluck this person, but he isn't really grounded in the organization and doesn't believe in the same things the organization believes in.
Last week, PLP leader Philip Brave Davis revealed 73 people registered for the module program. The program offers a history of the PLP, what is expected of prospective candidates, and how to mount an effective campaign. The event held at PLP headquarters was the first of its kind for the party. According to Mitchell, the module is a prerequisite for all candidates who are presenting themselves to run for office in the next general election.
So everybody's going to run through that, and the only persons who are exempted from it are the 4 members of Parliament, but everybody, including myself, I signed up for it yesterday and paid my money. So that at least tells you that I preserve the opportunity to apply for a nomination for the PLP the next time around.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Bahamas Electrical Workers Union President Paul Maynard says he would like to see more come from the voluntary separation packages being offered by Bahamas Power and Light. Employees are set to be notified tomorrow whose applications have been approved to receive the packages. But the union president says he wants to know, what about those who are turned away?
You need to, at this stage, decide what you're gonna give them, because you done showed a rabbit the carrot. You got to give Robert at least half of the carrot in order to decide the piece to Robert. And so I'm working on that. I'm talking with the chairman and the CEO to see how best we can resolve it. It's the worst of a bad situation, but I mean, you have to deal with it.
More than 200 BPL employees are expected to take the package, according to BPL's chairman, Darnell Osborne. Now, while he has gone to war with several boards in the past, Maynard said this new board is different.
For 5 years, this process been going on. I mean, for 5 years before, from 2002, this whole electricity reform process has been going on. And now we at the stage that, well, the government changed, and within a year, the chairman had it done. Obviously, the saying goes, if you want something done, give it to a woman. Obviously, that's proven right here, because the man had it all that time, and they was joking. And the minute a woman get a hold of it, well, in a year, it done. Within a year, it done. So, it is what it is. She just has to continue to carry it through.
Well, the healthcare system is now facing another challenge, this time within the Emergency Medical Technician Department. Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands explains.
Bear in mind that EMS is currently living in rented quarters, and we need to move from where we are. We have considered redeploying our vehicles out of different places, but we didn't have the staff to do it. and to maintain that redeployment. We are partnering with Doctors Hospital to provide certain services. And so, yes, there are challenges with EMS, but I believe that the EMS coordinator, Dr. Alvary Hanna, the PHA team, which has carriage of EMS, is very much up to the task.
Acknowledging that there is an increasing demand for EMTs in New Providence and the Family Islands, Dr. Sands says they now have to optimize their resources and find space in the budget to house EMT.
Within the confines of our $24 million health capital budget and our recurrent budget, we know that we have to find a new place for EMS. Now that the budget is behind us, we will go ahead and seek a new facility that's appropriate, that we can use over the ensuing months and years.
Well, normally when we see videos with young men making the rounds on social media and racking up thousands of views, it's for something negative. However, there's one video making the rounds of Omar Davis, a recent graduate of C.I. Gibson High School. In the inspiring and touching video, Davis gives his testimony that despite your challenges and circumstances in life, you can overcome and rise up.
My father was like my best friend. It is often said, all the good things come to an end, and in this case, it was my father's life. On June 1st, 2013, around 10 p.m., about 9 gunshots went off, 8 hitting my dad and 1 entering the house. My father was murdered right on my doorstep. Could you imagine your best friend being shot right in front of you? Watching him take his last breath left me heartbroken and scarred. Sometimes when I close my eyes, I remember his lifeless body just lying there. I often had thoughts about dropping out of school or even doing drugs to calm my nerves. But his voice kept playing in my head. Short man, never be like me when you grow up.
Davis says his father's words motivated him to push forward and strive for excellence. And now, today, Davis is a living testimony to all young men all over that your present circumstance doesn't determine where you can go, but merely where you start.
Now that same boy from Camp Road, who's going to be just like his dad, as they once said, graduated valedictorian from his high school. Graduated valedictorian from his high school, will be the first person in his immediate family to go to college and is a 2018 public school scholar. By God's grace, I can do anything through Christ who strengthens me.
Davis was among 162 public school graduates to receive scholarships to attend colleges and universities abroad. Davis will attend Central State University to pursue a bachelor's degree in finance. Congratulations to him. And we will take our first break here, but still ahead tonight. The first group of Bahamians to receive national honors to be announced soon. You're watching the best in Bahamian news. We'll be right back.